vimalam sada anandatittamatulam bhajetapattrayaham mithya siddhanta dudhvanta vidvamshana vichakshana jayatitha katanir bhasatam no hrudambare artikalpitakalpoyam pratyarthi gajakesari vyasatitha gurudbhuyad asmadishtata siddhaye तपो विद्या विरक्त्यादि सद्गुणौगाकरानहं वादिराज गुरून् वन्दे ऐक्यपदाश्रयान् पूज्याय राघवेन्द्राय सत्यधर्मरताय च वदतां कल्पवृक्षाय नमतां कामधेनवे दुर्वादिध्वान्तरवये वैष्णवेन्दीवरेन्दवे श्रीराघवेन्द्रगुरवे नमो अच्युतदयाळवे आपादमौलिपर्यन्तं गुरूणाम् आप्तुं स्मरे तेन विघ्नाः प्रणश्यन्ति सिद्ध्यन्ति मनोरथाः हरिः ओं श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः ನಾನು I am offering my respectful salutations to Sri Sri Vidyashri Swami Padangalu, and I am starting today's Gita Upanyasa. Today we are going to talk about Arjuna's Vishada. So it is called Arjuna Vishada Yoga. Why do we call it a yoga? And what about these words? The Arjuna's words are like, which indicate his mental position at that time during the war, just before the battle. So how his thoughts ran. So we are going to talk about that. And before that, I just wanted to answer a couple of questions that came. Two questions from Shrikant Jagannath. He asked a question: if the objective of Mahabharata war was to establish dharma, then why did Krishna not kill Duryodhana instead of having a great battle with so many people being killed? I'm not only talking about the great acharyas, but also the poor soldiers who had nothing to do with the war and who had no way as to which side they will take. So they had no say which way they have to take. So why couldn't they be saved? So that was his question. So the answer for this is this: our karma siddhanta is so perfect that neither an innocent one gets punished nor an evil one escapes a needed punishment. So upholding the dharma does not happen in a way that we like, but in a way that is right. So we mere mortals tend to have a very narrow outlook. Our knowledge of karma count is very limited. Everyone goes through the pain or pleasure as per the karma account balance only. If the poor soldiers have nothing to do with the war, why did they participate? If one seems to think that it is out of fear of Duryodhana, then that is also a problem, because the ones who participated were prepared to die in the war and they would go to Viraswarga. We are seeing their position from our eyes or our viewpoint. Further, we tend to see only their current janma. They would pay for the karmas done even in prior janmas as well. So mistakes may happen in the human courts, but in God's court, no mistake would ever happen. So along with Duryodhana, the rest also had to go through that. So thus the Lord played this big action scene, and as we all heard, Bhubharottarana, so reducing the weight of the earth was the purpose of Krishna's avatara, not just the physical weight, but the weight of the sins, Papa Bhara, so weight of the sin or the sinners, that had to be taken out, and this Mahabharata war contributed for that. So that we have to note. And the second question is, in many instances, it appears that Pandavas bent the rules of warfare with the help of Krishna. So, for example, Bhima hitting Duryodhana below waist. The question for us in real life is, when is it okay to bend the rule for our own convenience? If one bends the rule, others will perceive this to be okay, and will it not result in chaos? So this is the second question. The answer for that is this: It's a mistaken view that Pandavas bent the rules with the help of Sri Krishna. Duryodhana, in an open assembly, asked Draupadi, the great Pativrata, to come and sit on his thighs. At that time itself, Bhima took an oath to break his thighs. So Duryodhana paid the price. So that is due, that he had to do, he had to go through. Krishna told in Gita itself, Gahana Karmano Gatihi. The path of karma is complex, deep, intricate, and difficult one. So then what should a common man do? Always seek the advice of the wise. It is spread all over the internet that Sri Krishna broke or bent or mended the rules. When the Shastras say that the Lord is Sarvaguna Sampurna and Sarvadosha Vivarjita, what it means is he is one with all the auspicious qualities and without a single flaw. That has to be true if Shastra says that. So there is not a single act where Sri Krishna broke or bent or mended the rules. It is always the uninformed ones who come to such rash conclusions. It is a long discussion, and so we'll do in a separate session. But I tell you that every single act of Sri Krishna, starting from so-called stealing the butter, stealing the clothes of Gopikas, to killing of Bhishma, Drona, Karna, Duryodhana, none of it is wrong and none of it is bending or mending or breaking the rules. So this we have to note. So now I will continue with our talk. So Arjuna is well known for his stairya, dhairya, virya, and shaurya. So stairya means like stability, dhairya means daringness, virya is valor, and shaurya is chivalry. So he is well known for that. He was never shaken by the thought of battle or war. In fact, for him, a war or battle was a feast. He never budged from war. In fact, until that Mahabharata war, and even in Mahabharata war, he never faced a defeat. In fact, his one of the names is Vijaya, which means victory. So one could actually tell Arjuna, hey Arjuna, thy name is victory. So such was his life history, and such was the impeccable record of Arjuna. So as we saw in our last session, how Duryodhana was shaken up seeing the Pandava army technically headed by Drishtadyumna, but strength-wise headed by Bhima, Balam Bhima Bhirakshitam. To settle the records, Bhishma never killed until then any character that is comparable to Hidimbasura or Bakasura or Kirmira or Jarasandha and Kichaka, all of whom were killed by Bhima. So, though Duryodhana was a great warrior, fearless and cruel, at that moment a feeling of despondency swept him. Note that it was not due to fear, but rather due to blinking hope. So that was the reason. Note the contrast. The root cause of Duryodhana's despondency was selfishness and lack of compassion and consideration for his elders, Pandavas, and his own kith and kin, and his subjects, his own citizens. Despite his preparedness to sacrifice it all, a gloom loomed and an imminent doom seemed to knock his door. As a contrast, the root cause of Arjuna's despondency was selflessness and undue compassion and consideration for his elders and his own kith and kin. He seemed to be not willing to sacrifice them, but rather sacrifice his own desires. And this made him, like, seek the means to justify such a position. So, in both the cases, cowardice was not the cause, but despondency was the outcome. So, we saw how it started for Duryodhana, and let us see how it started for Arjuna. um, uh, there, Arjuna, he like standing in the battlefield, all prepared, and at that moment, what happened was he saw the army, the big army that's standing in front of him, and in that army, he is seeing both sides, and he wanted to get a comprehensive picture of the whole army, and that he does by telling atha vyavastitan društva dhartarashtran kapidvadha pravrutte shastra sampate dhanurudyamya pandavaha. So there, each word that is used is very significant. Atha, atha means thereafter. It just means a casual statement. But as all the listeners, including Dhritarashtra, are expecting after the conches are blown and the kettle drums are done and everything is done, we think that we are going to hear about the details of war, as we heard about the nameless conches, kettle drums, trumpets, taboos, and blowhorns of Kauravas had not much of effect on Pandavas, but the sound from the conches of Pandavas bearing the famous names tore the hearts of Kauravas. So next, instead of war details, there is going to be Gita Upadesha. This is perhaps indicated by this word atha thereafter. That means thereafter what happened is not the right away the war, but of course eventually war happened, but something else happened. What is that something else? So even before the display of weapons and actual engagement in the war, Arjuna picked up the Gandiva and spoke these words to Hrishikesha. So every word bears significance here. Kapidhwaja, the Kapidhwaja is having Hanuman in the flag. It's a casual statement, but look, kam sukham payati. Kapi is vanara is one meaning, but kapi also sukha. So Arjunasya swa nadena adhika sukham utpadya bala pushtim karoti. That means what happens is during the Saugandhika Pushpa, the incident that happened during Vanavasa, Draupadi asks for Saugandhika Pushpas and Bhima goes in search of them, and he meets Hanuman and he asks Hanuman to help them in the war. So Hanuman says he assured that he will stay on the flag of Arjuna's chariot and make sounds that will instill fears in the Kauravas and yield joy to Pandavas. So that Kapidhwaja is, indicates that is how the position of Pandavas was there. Even Hanuman, kind of helping means helping in that way, psychologically, giving a big boost. And Hrishikesha, he addresses Hrishikesha. Hrishikesha is controller. Hrishika means Indriyas. Isha is the Lord of the Indriyas. He is the one who controls all the Indriyas of all the beings. That means actually he's Sarva Preraka, is the instigator of all the Indriyas. So what happened here during, the war is about to start, and Krishna, who knows past, present, and the future, he wanted this Gita Upadesha to give to Arjuna, and through that, the whole world is going to be benefited with Gita. So he is setting up a stage for that. So he gives a prerana to Arjuna to utter these words. So Arjuna is going to tell Krishna what are the words that Arjuna is telling. Arjuna is telling Krishna, Krishikesham tadavakyam idamaha mahipate. What did Arjuna say? He tells Krishna, oh Krishna, Senayor Ubhayor Madhye Ratham Stapaya me 2.5 slokas he tells. In 2.5 slokas, he tells, look at the words that he says. Senayor Ubhayor Madhye Ratham Stapaya Mechita Yavadeta Niriksheham Yodhukaman Avasthitan Kairmaya Saha Yodhavyam Asmin Rana Samudyame Yotsyamana Aveksheham Ye Ya Ete Atra Samagataha Dhattarashtrasya Dudbuddehe Yuddhe Priya Chikishavaha. So you can see the words actually in these words. Arjuna is telling Krishna, okay, I want a vantage point from where I can see both the armies. So you may see there may be a trace of some impudence or impertinence or insolence even in these words of Arjuna. Like there are so many warriors standing. Why should Arjuna feel that he wants to take a good look at all both the armies? Nobody else asked for that. Nobody is seeking such a thing. He's not the only warrior. I mean, he's one of the, I mean, he's a great warrior. He's one of the warriors. So why is he asking Krishna to take his chariot and make it stand in between the two armies so that he can take a look at both the armies? And this is what he says. And until I see them, you just take the chariot and place it there and look at each word. Ratham stapaya me achyuta. Me ratham is not avayoho, is not the ratha of both of us, but it's just my ratha. Like a kind of uh, overconfident, like as if now Hrishikesha, Krishna is making Arjuna speak these words so that he wants to, a kind of a psychological game play that Krishna is doing. Take Arjuna to like a peak of his mental position and then bring him down to another position and bring a kind of a despondency feelings or dejection feelings to him, and then again give the bodhana for him. So he is kind of seems to be doing some kind of a magic tricks here in a way of instigating thoughts. So this is what it says. So Senayor Ubhayor Madhye Ratham Sthapayame Achyuta Yavad Eta Niriksheham Yodhu Kaman Avastitan. Everybody there is no Yodhu Kama, that means desirous of fighting. Whoever came and standing there, both sides of the armies, they are all Yodhu Kamas only. So Kair Maya Saha Yodhavyam Asmin Rana Samudyame, the war is about to start. I want to just take a look at them. Yotsyamanan Avekshe, Aham Yotsyamanan Avekshe. I want to look at the ones who are desirous of fighting. And Ete Atra Samagataha, whoever all assembled here, I want to see them all. So Dhartarashtrasya Durbuddhehe Yuddhe Priya Chikishavaha. So Dhartarashtra, Dhutarasa's son, Duryodhana, in his to please him, Yuddhe Priya Chikishavaha, Duryodhanasya Priya Chikishavaha, they want to please Duryodhana and they are coming and participating. I want to take a look at them. Take my chariot there. You know what Krishna could have done? Krishna could have taken a chariot and make the chariot stand in front of Duryodhana and Duryodhana. Maybe Arjuna would have straight away started the war. But look at the way Krishna does the whole thing. He takes the chariot, Yeva Mukto Hrishikesho Gudakeshena Bharata Senayor Bhayor Madhye Stapayitva Rathottamam Bhishmadrona Pramukataha Sarvesham Samahikshitam Uvacha Partha Pashyaitan Samavetan Kuruniti. Krishna took the chariot of Arjuna and made it stand in front of Bhishma and Drona, who were very dear to Arjuna. And there he says, look, Sarvesham Samahikshitam, all the kings are standing here, and Partha, Arjuna, Pashya Etan. So look at them. Samavetan Kuruniti. He's saying Samavetan Kurun Pashya, but actually that means look at the Pandavas, but he's showing Bhishma and Drona so that the excessive compassion feeling will overcome Arjuna. It will overtake Arjuna. But people will get a doubt. Wait a minute. He fought the Virata war. At that time also he fought against the same warriors. How come such feelings didn't come to him at that time? Why should those feelings come now? The reason is this. In all the previous wars that happened, where, of course, especially Virata war, where we had to fight Bhishma Drona, and in other wars also, there was not a situation where a conclusion had to be drawn until you kill. So, for example, in Virata war, it was not until someone gets killed or until the war ends in a kind of a decisive way. The war is like, they come for Gograhana, Uttara Gograhana, and as long as he defeats them, takes the coast back, they get defeated, they go back. So there is no need to kill them. So that's why Arjuna is not afraid of killing people, as he killed also so many times, so many evil people he killed. But he doesn't want to kill his dear ones. Bhishma and Drona has so much of love and affection for them. He doesn't want to kill them. But in this Mahabharata war, it cannot end. Okay, defeat them, they go home. No, it doesn't happen. He had to stand up there and fight to the end. The end may be either way. Maybe he kills them or they kill him or whatever. Nobody knows the outcome of the war. But Arjuna had to, with Krishna by his side, he was probably more sure maybe he is the one who is going to kill Bhishma and Drona. He doesn't want that probably in his internal mind. So that's why he says, so that, the next words that come out here is Sanjaya says these words, Tatra apashyat sthitan partha pitrun atha pitamahan acharyan matulan bhratrun putran pautran sakhin tatha shvasuran suhrudaschaiva senayor ubhayoho api तान समीक्ष्य स कौन्तेयः सर्वान् बन्धून् अवस्थितान् कृपया परया आविष्टः विषीदन् idam अब्रवीत्. So he saw his own kith and kin relatives. What kind of relatives they were? Like Somadatta, Somadatta, who is actually the brother of Shantanu. So Vichitravirya is son of Shantanu. So Somadatta and Vichitravirya are cousins. And Somadatta's son, who is Bhurishrava, we talked about him, he's called Saumadatti, Somadatta's son. So Bhurishrava and Panduraja are second cousins. So Bhurishrava was like father, and Somadatta and Bhishma are like Pitamaha's grandfathers, and Bahlika was Prapitamaha, because Bahlika was the brother of Shantanu, and so uncle of Bhishma. So Bahlika and Shantanu are brothers, and Somadatta and Vichitravirya are cousins. So this is how Somadatta and Bhishma are like Pitamahas, and Bahlika was Prapitamaha, brother of Shantanu, and so uncle of Bhishma. Uncles like Shalya and Shakuni, they were uncles, and his own brothers like Pandavas are on his side, and then Kauravas on the other side, and sons like Abhimanyu on his side, and his cousins' sons on the other side. So grandsons like son of Ghatotkacha, even grandsons, that's why it's a Pautran. Grandson means the son of Ghatotkacha is Bhima's son. So Ghatotkacha's son is like a grandson for Arjuna. So even Ghatotkacha's son participated in the war. So all these things weighed upon Arjuna's mind. So he got overwhelmed by the thought that most of them are likely to be killed. Perhaps a lot of them are likely to be killed. So this is kind of very, very, very depressing thought for him. So he felt totally shaken up. So that's when it started. So Krishna was playing on the mind of Arjuna in one way. So after seeing all that, he says, Krupaya Paraya Avishtaha Vishidan Idam Abravit. There started the sadness of Arjuna, which is because of Bandhu Moha, the excessive attachment for bandhus. I mean, it's very natural, somebody having attachment for his own kith and kin is a natural process. There's nothing strange about it, but that's the case for everybody there. Whoever participated in the war, there for other Pandavas and Kauravas, even for Bhishma and Drona, that's the case for everybody. Why Arjuna only had this feeling? Hrishikesha, that's the key. So the instigator of thoughts, Sri Krishna, he made Arjuna have these feelings. So he took the chariot, made it stand in front of Bhishma and Drona, and from inside Arjuna, he instigated these thoughts to Arjuna. And seeing this, Arjuna really, really seeing his own relatives and thinking what's going to happen, he felt very depressed and sad. So then Arjuna, what he says, how his sadness, results, his action, words, what he did, it starts from here. And he says, Arjuna Vacha, Društva imam swajanam Krishna yutsum samupasthitam sidanti mama gatrani mukham cha parishusyati vepatuscha sharire me roma harshascha jayate. So he says, Arjuna, hey Krishna, he uses the word Krishna, Karshati iti Krishna. He is the one who does akarshana. That means that Karshana is many ways. He draws the feelings of the people. He draws the behavior of the people. He makes everybody act, starting from immediate, like instant actions in our lives to pralayakala, he karshati, he takes everything inside him. So for him, everything is lila. Nothing bothers him. Like, he is unattached. He is like, nirlipta, leparahita. For him, everything, like is equal. Samabhava for him is like absolutely tranquil. So for him, it doesn't affect. That's why he's in the word Krishna. Krishna, you may be kind of, nirlipta bhava, but I am affected by all this. So he says, so hey Krishna, seeing this, all these people, my own people, Swajanam, my people, what is happening? Sidanti mama gatrani, my body parts are all, they're getting going down, like, they're losing the energy. They become as if they're half dead. So they're not acting, they're half lifeless. So that's how it is happening. And mukham cha parishishyati, my face, my mouth, everything is drying up. So you know ಬಾಯಿ ಒಣಗೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ನೋರು ಎಂಡಿಪೋತೋಂದಿ. we say that, what we say na, Marathi, mas tond ವಾಳುನ್ ಜಾತಾ hai. So that's the situation he is in. And vepatuscha sharire me, so the whole body is trembling, shivering. My body is trembling. Roma harshascha jayate, the hair is standing right up. So this Roma harsha means harpulation, we call in English. The hair standing, it can happen due to cold or fear or surprise or excitement or shock. Any extreme feeling happens, the immediate, one of the reactions of the body is the hair stands right up. Here, Arjuna is not having any fear. It's not due to fear, but the sadness, the shock, the feeling that all these people are going to die, I can't take it. That kind of a excessive krupa, later Krishna calls it as karpanya dosha, krupa janita dosha. So this kind of a feeling going to overcome, he has already overtaken Arjuna, and so he is saying, oh my God, Krishna, this is what my situation is. Gandivam shramshate hastat tvakchaiva paridahyate nacha shaknomi avasthatum brahmativa cha me manaha nimittani cha pashyami viparitani keshava nacha shreyon pashyami hatva swajanam ahave न कांक्षे विजयम कृष्ण न च राज्यम सुखानि च किम नो राज्येन गोविंद किम भोगैर जीवितेन वा. Arjuna is saying, Gandiva is slipping out of my hands. I'm not even able to hold Gandiva, and my skin, the whole skin and the body, the whole body is having a burning sensation. I am not able to tolerate even to stand here. My mind is like spinning, my head is spinning, my thoughts are just kind of making me spin like anything. And nimittani cha pashyami, I am finding all bad omens because my people are going to kill it. So they're bad, evil indication, omens are happening. Viparitani, nimittani. So the omens are all bad indicator. Omens are happening. Hey, Keshava, he uses the word Keshava. Keshava means, kam brahma iti proktaha. So Isha Rudra tau vartayati iti Keshava. Hiranyagarbhakka proktaha Isha Shankara yevacha. Srushtyadina vartayati tau yata Keshavo bhavan. So you are Keshava, you control Brahma and Rudra also. And for you, you are the Lord of the whole universe. So for you, everybody is same, everything is same. But for me, I'm a tiny little one. For me, all these people matter. My own people matter. So, hey Keshava, Look at my situation. I am in a situation where all indicators of evil are showing up. Na kangshe vijayam. I don't even want victory, Krishna. Nacha rajyam sukhanicha. I don't want the kingdom. I don't want pleasures. I don't want anything. Kim no naha kim. For us, rajyena kim govinda. Hey Govinda, Govinda. One go means go shabda. Veda vak is called go. Govinda, one who is known by the Vedic scriptures. So propounded by Vedas. Adav antecha madhyecha Vishnu Sarvatra Giyate, all the Vedas extol Vishnu. So he's Govinda, Krishna, you are extolled by the Vedas, and you are the only thing. So you finally he's going to ask Krishna only to guide him. So that says Kim Bhogair Jivitenava. He is so despondent. He said, why do I need the bhogas? I don't even feel like living. So the very life seems meaningless for me. The bhogas don't make sense for me. The life doesn't make sense. I don't want to continue this anymore. This is very, very, very sad and depressing thing for me to fight against my own loved ones, especially Bhishmacharya, who fondled me all my livelihood, my childhood. He fondled me a lot. So he is so dear to me. I cannot see Bhishma dying in front of my eyes, and that too, I am going to kill him. It's intolerable for me. I cannot take it. So he says, Yeshamarte kangshitam no rajyam bhogaha sukhani cha ta ime avastita yuddhe pranans tyaktva dhanani cha. He says, for their sake, if I want a victory, why do I want a victory? Because so that I can enjoy along with them. So the victory, the bhogas, the rajya, the kingdom, everything, the enjoyment is with them. If I stay with them, spend time with them, that is real bhoga sukha. So for whose sake I want the kingdom, for them killing them? No, I can't take it. So no rajyam bhogaha sukhani sa, all bhogas, all sukhas for their sake, and they are standing here in front of me. Yuddhe pranan tyaktva dhanani sa. They are prepared to give up their life, and they are willing to give up all their wealth, their life, everything. They are standing here. Acharyaha, pitaraha, putraha, tathaiva cha pitamahaha, matulaha, shvashuraha, pautraha, shyalaha, sambandhinastatha, etan na hantumichhami, gnatopi madhusudana, api trailokya rajyasya hetoho kimnu mahi krute. He says, here, acharyas, my own father-like figures, my own sons, and my own pitamahas, grandfathers, matulaha, uncles, and shwasuraha is fathers-in-law, because Drupada also is standing there. So Drupada is going to be killed probably. Who knows? Pautraha, grandsons, Ghatotkata's son, Shyalaha, and brothers-in-law, everybody, Sambandhinaha, Tatha, all relatives are standing. Yetan na hantum ichhami. I don't want to kill them. I don't want to kill them. Gnatopi, even though I get killed, hey Madhusudana, you are killer of Madhu. For you, killing somebody doesn't matter. For you, you do it with ease because you are beyond feelings. But I am not beyond feelings. I am bound by the feelings. So that's why he says, Api Trailokya Rajyasya Hetoho Kimnu Mahikra. Even for the sake of all three worlds, I don't want to kill them. Forget about this small kingdom, this little kingdom. For that sake, I am going to kill them. It doesn't make any sense for me. Hey Krishna, so this is the situation I am in. So Arjuna is pouring out his thoughts like anything, and he goes on, says, Nihatya dhatarashtran naha ka pritisya janardana papameva ashrayedasman hatva etan atatai naha. He even used the word atatai. Atatai means those who are do vishaprayoga. So agnidaha gardaschaiva shastrapanir dhanapaha kshetra darapahari cha shadete hi atatainaha. Atatai definition comes there in Bhishma Parva itself. It comes those who give fire, who try to burn. They try to. So even if anybody does one of these acts, they are called atatai. In case of Kauravas, the 6 acts that they tell, if anybody does any one of the acts, they are atatized. The Kauravas did all 6 acts. So fire, Laksha Grahadhana, that Agnidaha, Garadas Garada means poison, givers of the poison, and trying to burn, and then Shastra Panir Dhanapaha, Shastra and Shastra Panihi, by holding the weapons, they do, that means they fight against us. That also they have done. Dhanapaha, stealing the wealth, that they have done. Kshetra Darapahari cha, Kshetrapahari, stealing the land, that they have done. They stole our kingdom. Darapahari, they tried to steal our wives also, they tried that. They have done everything. Shad ete, all 6 they have done. They are very bad atatais. Even so, even that is the case, still Nihatya Dhartarashtran, by killing this evil Dhartarashtras, what good is going to come out of it? Nothing, because along with them, I have to kill all my relatives, close relatives, Bhishma Dronas, Papameva. Because of that, Papameva Ashrayedasman, we are going to acquire sin only. So, Hatva Etan Atainaha, by killing these Atais, you may say, okay, sin won't come, but along with them, I have to kill my own relatives. Because of that, my killing acharyas and my own pitamahas and pitas, that will definitely give me sin. So I do not want to accumulate that kind of a sin. So I don't want to do that. So tasmat says, na arhaha vayam hantum dhattarashtran sabandhavan swajanam hi katham hatva sukhinaha syama madhava. Hey Madhava, how can we be happy by killing all these people? So I do not want to go in this process at all. I don't want to proceed in this way. So he says, and here, one of the listeners, they wanted, they gave a good point. Here, what was, why, uh, Arjuna is the Aparoksha Jnani. He's not an ordinary one. So why is he going through all this? So in Vishnu Tattva Vinaya, Tika Rayuru says in one point, we are going to talk about it in the next class in more details, but I just want to hint at that. There's a Tattvamasi, that Tattvamasi people take in a wrong sense. Tika Rayuru explains in Vishnu Tattva Vinaya, he says, Tattvamasi, Tat is Paramatma, just as Paramatma is Jnanananda Rupa, like that, we should also try to become that Jnanananda Swarupa. Of course, in moksha only the Swarupananda Avirbhava will be there, but here we should attempt to realize that the Atma Swarupa is Jnanananda Rupa, and this dukkha that we experience, like in Gita, we're going to talk about in more detail, the Gita Sahara, where it says matras prashasta kaunteya sitoshna sukhadukkadaha. So this is only how it leads. So we're going to talk about in more details, but that kind of Gita thoughts are explained in other works also by Acharya and by Tikara and all that. So we are going to touch those points also in the next session. So here I'll conclude this, and any questions are there, I want to take up the questions. Hare Srinivasa, Sri Krishna Arpanamastu, Kayena Vacha, Mansenjerva, Buddhyatmanava, Ansusubhavam, Karomi Ityas, Sakalam Parasmai, Sriman Narayanaya, Sarpayam, Sri Krishna Arpanamastu, Hare Srinivasa. You can send the questions later also. So if anybody has any questions, I'll answer in the next session, the questions for that.
Sir, I think Vitovachar is joining. Just a second, he has some questions for you.
Sure.
ಆಚಾರ್ಯ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳದ್ದು ತಮ್ದೇನಾದ್ರು ಇದ್ರೆ ಇವಾಗ ಕೇಳಬಹುದು. ವಿಠೋಬಾಚಾರ್ಯ.
ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದ ಅಂತ
ಪ್ರವೀಣ್
ಮನೋಜ್ ಇದೀನಿ ಆಚಾರ್ಯ.
ನೀವು ಕೇಳ್ತೀರಾ ಪ್ರವೀಣ್?
ಕೇಳ್ತೀನಿ ಆಚಾರ್ಯ. ನಿಮ್ ವಾಯ್ಸ್ ತುಂಬಾ ಬ್ರೇಕ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ, ನಾನು ಕೇಳ್ತೀನಿ.
ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ ಮನೋಜ್?
ಹಾ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತದೆ ಇವಾಗ ಆಚಾರ್ಯ, ಇವಾಗ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತದೆ, ಹೇಳಿ. ನೀವು ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದೀರಾ.
ಹೌದು, ನೆಟ್ವರ್ಕ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಬಿಡಿ.
ಪ್ರವೀಣ್ ಮುಂದುವರಿಸ್ತಾರೆ.
ನಾನು ಕೇಳ್ತೀನಿ ಆಚಾರ್ಯ ಅದನ್ನ.
ಹಾ
ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ ಆಚಾರ್ಯ. ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್ ಮೊದಲನೇದು, ವಿಠೋಬಾಚಾರ್ಯ ನೀವು ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಹೊಟ್ಟೋಗಿ, ನಾನು ಕೇಳ್ತೀನಿ, ತೊಂದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ ಆಚಾರ್ಯ. ಇದು ಇದರಿಂದ ವಿಠೋಬಾಚಾರ್ಯ ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್ಸ್ ಕಳ್ಸಿದಾರೆ ನನಗೆ, ಅವ್ರದ್ದೇನೋ ನೆಟ್ವರ್ಕ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಇದೆ. ಮೊದಲನೇ ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್, ವೈ ವಿಷಾದ ಇಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಯೋಗ? ವಿಷಾದನ ಯೋಗ ಅಂತ ಯಾಕೆ ಕರೀತಾರೆ?
Yeah, very good question. So Vishada can never be a yoga, means actually Krishna defines. So the question is, why Vishada? Arjuna Vishada yoga. This was called Vishada yoga. Yoga is Jnanopaya. So Krishna defines in Gita later, yoga is a Jnanopaya. How can Vishada be a Jnanopaya? So why is it called Arjuna Vishada yoga? So yoga, Vishada cannot be a yoga. So how is it right? So this is the question. Vishada yoga means Jnanopaya, right? That which leads to Jnana. Upaya means is what? That which leads to Jnana. Arjuna Vishada led for entire Gita Upadesha. So that's why Vishada itself is not yoga, but Vishadena Arjuna Vishadena yoga. Vishada eva yoga allalli. So that it does not mean Vishada itself is yoga, but Vishadena yoga. So by Arjuna's Vishada, the entire Gita Upadesha came up. That's why it's called Arjuna Vishada Yoga. That means Arjuna Vishadena Yoga. Because of Arjuna's Vishada, the Gita, entire Gita Upadesha came. That's why this is called Arjuna Vishada. So this is the seed. Due to Arjuna's Vishada, the tree of the Gita came. So the Arjuna's Vishada is like a seed from which the entire tree of Gita came. That's why it's called Arjuna Vishada Yoga.
Oh, it's very nice. Okay, so there is one more question, a kind of follow-up question. So yoga karmasu kaushalam. Yeah. Is there any difference between this yoga and the Vishada yoga?
No, both are same. So yoga karmasu kaushalam, there also that yoga jnanopaya. So in all our karmas, the jnanopaya, so there is not, because even that yoga karmasu kaushalam, that yoga is also taught because of Arjuna's Vishada. So Arjuna's Vishadena, because of that came means all the good things. So what it is this has led to so many good things. So this is not a difference. Because of Arjuna's Vishada, that yoga also came. That means the Jnanopaya, the Jnana Marga is indicated, and that is both are same. So Arjuna Vishada is actually in all the chapters, yoga that we say is Jnanopaya, Jnana Marga, the path of knowledge. So that is the path of knowledge. In all our karmas, the path of knowledge is needed. So Arjuna Vishada also, because of the Vishada, it led to the teaching of the path of knowledge. So it is the same. Both are same yoga.
Okay, thank you, sir. And the next question is, Krishna's Gita is started from the second adhyaya. The first adhyaya is mostly by, whatever the conversation from Arjuna. So why the first part was considered as in the Bhagavad Gita, why it was considered in the first why the first part was considered as Bhagavad Gita, though it was not from Krishna.
So Bhagavad Gita is whatever is told by Krishna is Bhagavad Gita. So Geetam Krishnena, so Bhagavad Gita. So the Krishna started all the teaching from second adhyaya onwards only, Krishna's teaching. But why the first adhyaya is also included as made part of Bhagavad Gita is there's no Krishna's teaching in the first chapter. So why should it be called, or why should it be part of the Gita? Gita could have been from second chapter onwards. So first chapter, including that in Gita, why? So that's the question. So the reason is this. Like when you take a tree, that visible tree outside is there, and then the root of the tree is under the ground. Though it is not visible, when we talk about the tree, we don't talk about only the visible part of the tree. There's invisible part that is underneath the ground. The roots, they are also part of the tree only. Like that, for entire this Gita Vriksha, which is there from second chapter onwards, the first chapter is like the roots for that. It may not be visible for us, but Krishna, though, did not teach anything in first adhyaya, his teaching is not there. His actions are there through the Prerakatva Shakti. So the Krishna's, what we call invisible hand, we call that invisible hand. The invisible hand of Krishna is there in the first chapter. So the first chapter, Krishna is setting the stage. Krishna's action, the way he takes the Ratha and makes it stand in front of Bhishma and Drona, and then makes Arjuna speak those words, and he is setting the stage for that. So setting the stage should be part of the Gita, because Krishna is setting the whole stage for the Gita. So it is included in Gita, because that is like the invisible roots under the ground. So it is, the whole thing is Gita, because Krishna's actions can be known, though the words we can't see, we can see the action of Krishna in the first chapter. That's the reason why it's part of the Gita.
Okay, thank you, sir. Then I think there's one more question. Okay, so Arjuna Arjunana ವಿಷಾದಕ್ಕೆ ನಿಜವಾದ ಕಾರಣ ಏನು? What is the real reason for Arjuna's vishada? Is it Vyamoha or Bhaya? Because for a warrior, for a Veera, vishada is not so relevant. So is it, is it really Vyamoha or Bhaya? Because if it is Vyamoha, he had already fought with his relatives earlier. So is it is it really Vyamoha, or is he having a fear?
It's a very good question. So I mentioned that in the beginning also. Both for Duryodhana Vishada and Arjuna Vishada, both are great warriors. For them, war is a feast. It's like they enjoy the war. So fear is not at all the reason. For both of them, fear is not the reason. Even for Duryodhana, fear is not the reason. Even for Arjuna, he is like revels in war. So for him, war is a welcome factor. So it's not the fear. It's the excessive moha, bandhu priti, bandhu moha is the root cause of Arjuna's Vishada. He had excessive attachment for Bandhava. So especially Bhishma, Drona, seeing them getting killed, he could not bear that thought. So his excessive bandhu moha, bandhu priti is the root cause of Arjuna's Vishada. He had absolutely no fear, but we will see in kind of, the psychiatrist, the greatest psychiatrist on earth, Krishna, how he kind of talks certain words which are actually indicates Arjuna, like he doesn't know what fear means. Like he's such a fearless person, but still he doesn't have cowardice or timidness. Is not there for Arjuna, but Krishna triggers, like it's kind of gives a psychiatric treatment type of thing, and that we'll talk about more in later on. But definitely fear was not there in Arjuna's mind, because he says, he gnatopi, a fearing person will be afraid of dying. Arjuna says, it's okay if I get killed. I don't mind getting killed, but I don't want to kill them. So that means fear is what? Fear means I don't want to be killed. That feeling will be there for a person who fears. But Arjuna doesn't say, oh, I don't want to be killed. He never said that. It's fine, let me get killed, but I don't want to kill them. So that is the excessive attachment that he had, bandhu moha. That moha is the cause for Arjuna's Vishada.
Okay, thank you, sir. Let me try reading some questions from YouTube. I'm just trying to check. Okay, Arjuna, did he not know Krishna as God? I think, I don't know if it is old. Okay, Arjuna, did he not know Krishna as God? And why at all? Why at all happened apprehension with regard to the war?
Yeah. The question was, did Arjuna know that Krishna is God? So why this kind of apprehension about war came to Arjuna's mind? Definitely Arjuna knew that Krishna was God. So that's why when Krishna says they made a division that he is be without arms and the rest of the army is there, he says, oh Krishna, I want you only, because he knows he's God. His decision. So Bhagavad Gita is ultimate thing. So he knows Krishna is God, but that doesn't prevent people from having the apprehension. So okay, Krishna is God, but that doesn't mean that I should lose the company of my dear Bhishma and Dronacharyas. So it's two different things. So in fact, because of that only his fear is even more the reason for the fear, because Krishna is God. So Krishna is on his side. So definitely he's going to kill Bhishma and Drona with the help of Krishna, because Krishna is the God. So that means Bhishma and Drona are going to get killed. That even is even more reason for his fear. Probably Krishna is God, so they will definitely get killed, and that means I'm going to definitely lose them. So that even can contribute to the fear. So Krishna being God doesn't have to prevent the fear, but it can contribute to the fear, because he is going to definitely kill Bhishma and Drona.
Okay. Yep. Okay, sir. Now there's one more question. I'm not clearly getting it, but I mean can happiness also be a yoga? I mean, I am not getting the first part. If despair can also be a clear big process and be a Vishada yoga, can happiness also be a yoga?
So is that not the same question like Vishada? How can Vishada be yoga? This is like a similar question.
Yeah, I mean, if I think here despair can, I don't know, if despair can also be a clear big process and be a Vishada yoga, can happiness also be a yoga? Can happiness be a yoga? I think that's the, I mean, probably a little different than what we had asked. Can happiness be a yoga? I think, yeah, we can take that as a similar question. If not, yeah.
Yeah, despair, like Vishada, kind of maybe he wanted to say Vishada can be multiple things. The despair, so something that goes wrong, you feel sadness, that is one kind of a Vishada. Another Vishada is with the apprehension, something is going to happen bad, you have the Vishada. So the Vishada, this despair, is actually like, when somebody feels sad, if something bad has happened. So that means based on the past, you feel sadness. That can be a Vishada also. Even in that case also it can lead to knowledge, because like in some cases somebody is like extremely depressed and somebody can give a good teaching to them, so even that can lead to a knowledge, acquisition of knowledge. So Vishada can be a despair, means like something that has bad has happened, because of that you feel sad. That means past event and the sadness. Or the Vishada can come because of the apprehension, the fear. No, it's not a fear, basically it's apprehension that something bad is going to happen to his own people. So that is actually a future event. The sadness or the despondency resulting from future event. So this is the case for Arjuna's case. His Vishada is he's going to kill Bhishma and Drona. So that is what is actually kind of gripped his mind. So in both the cases, either is a past event or a future event, they can lead to acquisition of knowledge. Both can end up in a good teaching. It's possible.
Okay, thank you, sir. And the next question is, I'll just tell the gist of it. Like the discussion about the war went on for almost 8 months, and Pandavas knew that they are going to fight with Kauravas, and Kauravas humiliated Draupadi and even many Pandavas in open sabha. Why did Arjuna think other way of, other way after declaring the war? Like, why did he want to step back?
Yeah. So basically, the question is like, all these days, like it's not like the war was decided on the spot, like it's not an instant event. The process was going on for months. So if that is the case, why did Arjuna express these feelings at that moment? If he like apprehension, worried about his killing Bhishma and Drona, he should have expressed those thoughts maybe earlier also. Why he didn't express earlier, but why did he express at that moment? So that answer is given by that Hrishikesha Shabda there. As I mentioned, actually, when we go to the end of the Gita, Krishna says at the end, hey Arjuna, even if you don't want to fight, it is not in our hands. You will fight because that is your nature. People will do as per their inherent nature. So Arjuna's inherent nature is to fight the evil. See, he did that so many times. He fought the people who were opposed him, who were evil. He fought them. So earlier on, the 8-month preparation, Arjuna's mind was not wavering. He was prepared. He was prepared for the war. He was prepared for the outcome of the war, everything. But at that moment, the Indriya Preraka Sri Krishna, Hrishikesha, he gave those thoughts to Arjuna temporarily. So it was a passing phase. So it was not there in Arjuna's mind earlier, and it will not be there once the Gita Upadesha is over. It was there for a short time because Krishna, he from internal, like he's antaryami. Krishna says in Gita, Ishvara sarvabhutanam huddeshe juna tishtati brahmayan sarvabhutani yantra rudhani maya. So he makes the people think whatever way he wants them. So at that moment, he instigated Arjuna's thoughts by making Arjuna stand in front. So he instigated for him to say the words, take my chariot and make it stand in between. And I want to look at the armies. All these words that came out of Arjuna are the instigation of Krishna. And once he made Arjuna stand in front, he stood again inside his mind, and he made his mind to go through those feelings. So everywhere Krishna's preraka shakti, sarva preraka, that's why that swatantra bhava, again we can see that nobody is swatantra. The sarva swatantra Paramatma alone, he makes things happen the way he wants. So he gave those thoughts to Arjuna only at that moment. Arjuna never had those thoughts earlier on. At that moment only, Krishna instigated those thoughts inside Arjuna. That's why it happened then.
Okay, thank you, sir. I think there's similar question, probably with little difference here. How could Arjuna think that he will acquire Papa by killing, the Atyayana?
Yeah.
Atadayana, sorry,
Yeah. So why did Arjuna think that he will get a sin by killing Atai? So that's why he's saying by killing not Atai only, Bandinaha. So that means for supporting the Atata, for killing Atatais, you won't get sin. But while killing the Atatais, along with them, the supporters of the Atatais who are Bhishma and Drona, them also he's killing, and that will give the sin, not killing Atatai itself directly, but Atatai Sambandhis, by killing them I'll get the sin. That was the thing that was wrong thinking that was Arjuna had. So he is saying not by killing Atatai gets sin, but by killing Atatai Bandhis, Sambandhis, that will give him sin, which is like Bhishma and Drona. So that was he was hinting. And Krishna clarifies in Gita, Narayana Dvit tad anubandhi nigraham eva karyam. So that means not only Narayana Dvit, that means people who hate Narayana, who hate Dharma, those people have to be punished. Along with them, their sambandhis also have to be punished. That clarity is what was lacking in Arjuna for that moment, temporarily, and Krishna will fill in that gap. So that is what was happening there. So Atatai killing is not the thing, but Atatai related good people killing is what Arjuna was talking
about. Okay, thank you, sir. Next one is okay. I think this is a repetitive question. the purpose. Okay, so rephrasing my question: did Arjuna not learn during his training under Dronacharya that fighting a war for defending a dharma? He is fighting a war for defending the dharma.
Yeah. So, with all Drona's teachings, Arjuna should have known that a war for defending the dharma will have this kind of consequences. Maybe that's what the question meant. So, yes, Arjuna knew that, and he did that also all his life. So that Drona's teachings were perfect. Arjuna's understanding was also perfect. Arjuna did the right way all his life. Also, he fought Virata war. He fought so many wars, and that was never kind of wavering in Arjuna's mind. He had a good confirmed thoughts, but at this moment only temporarily for a short time, Krishna made his mind waver a little bit, and that's why Arjuna behaved like this. And Drona taught him, of course, he knows that what war entails. That is, Arjuna fully knows it, but here Krishna makes these things event happen that way. So Arjuna succumbed to these feelings because of the will of the Lord. That is the reason.
Okay. Okay, I think those are the questions. Then, yeah, thanks for clarifying all those doubts. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, and if people have any further questions, they can still ask, and like either through emails or through WhatsApp list, and we will answer all their questions also.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, sir. Yeah, namaskara. Yeah, you can. Yeah, Manoj, you can end the session.
Yeah, Hare Srinivasa, Shikshnarpanamastu.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Hare Krishna.